各位来宾，副总统已经抵达会场，欢迎萧美琴副总统。Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President is now in attendance. We are honored by the presence of Vice President Xiao. 各位贵宾，欢迎参加由驻台北以色列经济文化办事处、德国在台协会以及台湾民主基金会主办的国际犹太大屠杀纪念日。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2026 commemoration of International Holocaust Remembrance Day, organized by the Israel Economic and Cultural Office in Taipei and the German Institute Taipei, as well as the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy. 2005年11月1日，联合国大会通过，将1月17日奥斯维辛比克瑙解放周年定为国际犹太大屠杀纪念日，以纪念在纳粹大屠杀中罹难的600万犹太人和其他数百万的受害者。On November 1st, 2005, the United Nations General Assembly designated January 27th the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau as the International Holocaust Remembrance Day, to honor the 6 million Jewish victims of the Holocaust and the millions of other victims of Nazism. 那么我们在台湾驻台北以色列经济文化办事处以及德国在台协会，也从2016年开始，每年都举办一系列的纪念活动，让台湾社会也能够有机会了解大屠杀的历史和人权的寓意。And since 2016, the Israel Economic and Cultural Office in Taipei, as well as the German Institute Taipei, have co-hosted events in Taiwan each year, not only to commemorate the Remembrance Day, but also to raise awareness in Taiwan about the Holocaust and its significance in the advancement of human rights. 那在今天的活动一开始，我们非常荣幸播放特别来宾赫歇尔 Herschel 先生的证词影片。And it is our distinct honor to present a video testimony from our special guest, Mr. Zvi Yosef Herschel. 赫歇尔先生出生于纳粹占领下的荷兰，其犹太裔的父母为了保护他的生命，冒险将他托付给一对非犹太裔的荷兰新教徒夫妇收养。这使得赫歇尔先生得以在养父母的呵护下平安长大，躲过了战火跟迫害。遗憾的是，他的亲生父母却在1943年被送往集中营后不幸遇害。Mr. Herschel was born in the Netherlands during the Nazi occupation, and shortly after his birth, his Jewish parents took the risk of entrusting him to a Dutch Protestant couple. Raised with the same love and care as their own child, he grew up safely and escaped the horrors of persecution. Tragically, his biological parents were deported to a concentration camp in 1943, where they were murdered. 战争结束后，赫歇尔先生被祖母接回，并且开始了重建犹太身份认同的艰难过程。这一段由荷兰基督徒少年回到犹太幸存者的转变跟挣扎，成为他一生的印记，使他自1991年开始便致力于分享这一段见证，让历史不被遗忘。And after the war, Mr. Herschel was reunited with his grandmother and began the arduous journey of reclaiming his Jewish identity, transitioning from a Dutch Christian child back to a Jewish survivor. And since 1991, he has dedicated himself to sharing his personal testimony, ensuring that history is never forgotten. 请播放。
Zvi Josef Herschel was born on December 29, 1942, in Zwolle. About 800 people lived in the Jewish community of Zwolle. At dawn on May 10, 1940, Germany invaded the Netherlands. The Dutch army surrendered just 4 days later. Before the German invasion in early 1940, some 140,000 Jews lived in the Netherlands, representing close to 1.6% of the population. During the Holocaust, nearly 105,000 of them were murdered. Following the occupation, the Netherlands imposed an anti-Jewish policy in which Jewish civil servants were suspended from work. A meticulous list of the Jewish population was drawn up. It was forbidden to publish Jewish newspapers, and steps were taken to further oppress the Jews economically, culturally, and socially. The second half of 1941 saw an escalation of anti-Jewish policies. In May 1941, around 80,000 Jews lived in Amsterdam. By that spring, the Nazis designated those streets of Amsterdam where many Jews were living. Later on, some parts of the city of Amsterdam were called the Jewish Quarter. From 1942 onwards, all Jews in the Netherlands were ordered to move to the Jewish Quarter of Amsterdam.
I was born in the darkest time of the war in Holland. My parents were forced to live in the ghetto of Amsterdam just before the transportation to the concentration camp in Holland, Westerbork, and there was no way out. They tried, but it was impossible. And my parents decided to entrust me to non-Jewish people, and my father contacted the wife of his boss, Mrs. Schwenke, and she arrived in the ghetto of Amsterdam together with a 17-year-old daughter. In April 1943, she and a 17-year-old daughter, Christine or Tine Schwenke, came to the ghetto of Amsterdam, and they came to get me out of this terrible situation. Tine Schwenke, the 17-year-old daughter, took me from my parents in her arms, acting as a young mother, and both went back to Oosterbeek. Oosterbeek is in the east of Holland, near Arnhem.
In 1942, the Germans prepared to expel all the Jews from the Netherlands to extermination camps. Jews were rounded up from Amsterdam's various districts and then transported to the Vught and Westerbork camps in the Netherlands. Between 1942 and 1944, the Westerbork transit camp was used to transport Jews who had been deported from the Netherlands, mainly to extermination camps in Eastern Europe. Approximately 105,000 Jews were deported from Westerbork, most of them to Auschwitz-Birkenau and Sobibor, and a minority to Theresienstadt and Bergen-Belsen. Nico and Ami Herschel. Zvi's parents were transported to the Dutch transit camp of Westerbork in June 1943. 1 month later, they were transported from Westerbork to the Sobibor death camp. His mother was 24. his father 27 years old, when they were murdered at Sobibor on July 23, 1943. Almost the entire family perished in the Holocaust.
First of all, I will emphasize the enormous love my parents had for me to entrust me to non-Jewish people. I was the firstborn, and I was about 4 months old. You cannot imagine what it means for parents to give away your child, and especially not in a situation as it was at that time in the Second World War. So in their home, it was very dangerous because Mr. Schwenke was taken hostage with other 250 well-known Dutch politicians and other people. And Mrs. Schwenke realized that it was dangerous. So she went to the friend of her husband, Mr. Willem de Jong, who was the head of the resistance in Oosterbeek. He came immediately and he said, it's too dangerous, and he took the little boy, me, to his home. When I arrived in his home, the home of Mr. and Mr. de Jong, Mrs. de Jong, Maartje de Jong, said, this boy is not going to leave my house. And that's the way I stayed there for the whole period of the Second World War. The risk the people took for taking in Jews to put them in hiding was as high as to be a Jew in those days. And the fate of them was exactly the same. Not only for one person, but the whole family. Thinking of this period, and what I remember is that I was taken care of with love. I was taken in as their own child. Also, my siblings were my brothers and sisters. They were religious people. They were Protestant. We went to church. Even today I know the prayers. And every day the Bible, the Old Testament, came after lunch on the table, and there was always a chapter, a story about what happens that day or this week about the Bible. And I can remember that in September 1944, the gliders landed around our house. But soon after, they started to fight, and also in our street. So we went down into the cellar, into the basement of the house. And there we were waiting what was going on in front of the house. All of a sudden there was a big bang. The house was hit by a bomb, collapsed, got on fire, and we got out of the house. It was a terrible moment in my life. I still remember that. The screaming of my sisters, sometimes, you know, I dream about it. But we got out unharmed, and for about 2 weeks we were living from basement to basement, and then afterwards we were evacuated to Spakenburg. Spakenburg is in the vicinity of Amsterdam. In May 1945, Holland was liberated, and I remember the Canadians in their jeeps coming up the street, and I was sitting on the shoulders of my father, and everyone was happy and singing and dancing in the streets with a lot of flags, Dutch flags.
In May 1945, with the signing of the German capitulation, the Netherlands was liberated from German occupation. After the liberation of the Netherlands, the only survivor of the Herschel family, Zvi's grandmother Rebecca, came to take out the boy from his rescuer's family. She wanted to raise her grandchild in a Jewish home.
On the spot, I lost my family. My father, my mother, my siblings. It was terrible. Not only that, when I came to Rotterdam, where she used to live, I had to change my name. My name was Henkie de Jong. I was a part of the de Jong family. And all of a sudden, no, your name is Herman. I couldn't grab it. On top of it, it was forbidden to have contact with my family, with my parents, with my mother. And I had to pray in a different way, in a different language, which I didn't understand at all. And I had to eat kosher. My whole youth, till I was 18, was very difficult. I felt alone. Well, I had to teach myself. And I can say that I'm lucky that I found a way.
At the age of 8, Zvi found a box with the family papers his father had sent with him as a baby into hiding. His grandmother had kept them all those years. Zvi started to reconstruct his tragic family story. He learned about his father's deep dedication to the land of Israel and developed the same attitude, love for the land of Israel and the wish to live there as a free people.
My parents were both Zionists, already in their teens. My father wrote 10 diaries, and there's no page where he doesn't write anything about Zionism as such. And his dream was that he is going to make Aliyah together with my mother. And unfortunately, it never came out. And it was remarkable that a straight line between his thoughts about living as a Jew in the diaspora and my thoughts as being a Zionist and wanted to live in Israel. I could have never expressed myself much better than after reading one of the sentences of my father's diary. A people without a country doesn't have a future. And I'm happy that I followed actually the steps of my parents.
Zvi and Annette have 2 daughters, Mirla, born in 1965, and Natalie, born in 1967. In 1986, Zvi and his family decided to fulfill their dream and immigrate to Israel. They came from Amsterdam to the coast of Haifa on their own yacht in order to become citizens of Israel. The journey took them several weeks. Zvi and Annette built their home in Tel Mond. Here, they live close to their daughter Natalie and their grandchildren. Throughout the years, Zvi maintained a warm connection with the de Jong family. Whenever he visited the Netherlands, he also went to see the family that saved his life. The de Jong family and the Schwenke family were honored as righteous among the nations. Their names are inscribed in Yad Vashem's garden of the righteous among the nations.
Some years ago, I went to Yom HaShoah here in Tel Mond, to the primary school of my grandson. And there were over 600 youngsters from the school in white shirts. Today, now, it was so emotional. I never had this feeling of to be together. I never had this beautiful youth, what they have. To relate my story to my life is that it's something unbelievable that my parents, with all their love for their child, for me, entrusted me to strangers. We cannot imagine what went through their heads the moment they made a decision, the moment they handed over their baby, their firstborn baby, to strangers. There are so many things that influence your life. And there are always 2 possibilities. You can go to the left and you can go to the right. But what is the right direction? The right direction is something what your heart tells you. You mustn't forget the past, you have to learn from it. And to stop discrimination. If we want to live in a better world, we start now not to discriminate anymore. If we want to live in a better world for the next generation to come, we have to do that.
And we extend our most sincere thanks to Mr. Herschel for sharing his personal story and journey with us through this video. 那我们现在呢，就来邀请到的是台北市可巴德犹太协会拉比 Shlomi Tabib 先生来诵读祈祷文《慈悲的神》。这篇祈祷文是为了抚慰已逝者的灵魂，在墓边以及纪念仪式中诵祷。我们也邀请各位贵宾，也可以打开您手边的手册，在之中我们再有我们今天要来朗诵的祈祷文，我们可以一同浏览。May I also remind you to please open your booklet and read the prayer together with us. Now I would like to invite Rabbi Shlomi Tabib, the Rabbi of Taiwan, to recite El Maled Lachamin, the Merciful God.
אל מלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את כל הנשמות של 6 מיליוני היהודים, חללי השואה באירופה, שנהרגו, שנשחטו, שנשרפו ושנספו על קידוש השם בידי המרצחים הגרמנים, הנאצים ועוזריהם משאר העמים, יימח שמם. לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמותיהם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתם, ויעמדו לגורלם לקץ הימין, ונאמר אמן.
Thank you, Rabbi Shlomi. Please return to your seat. 我们现在要进行点烛仪式，纪念在纳粹期间惨遭屠杀的受难者。We will now light 6 candles in memory of those who were murdered during the Holocaust. 首先，让我们邀请德国在台协会迪加信处长为我们点亮第1根蜡烛。I would like to invite Mr. Carsten Tietz, Director General of the German Institute, Taipei, to light the first candle. We light this candle for our collective hope for a world free from anti-Semitism, racism, and all forms of discrimination. May it shine brightly and guide us towards peace, understanding, and mutual respect. 接下来，我们请驻台北以色列经济文化办事处由玛雅代表来点亮第2根蜡烛。Next, we would like to invite Representative Maya Yaron of the Israel Economic and Cultural Office in Taipei to light the 2nd candle. We light this candle in memory of 1.5 million Jewish children and countless others who perished in the Holocaust. These innocent lives, cut tragically short, remind us of the devastating impact of hatred. May we create a world where every child can live in peace and safety. 接下来，我们邀請外交部吳志忠政務次長來點亮第3根蠟燭。Deputy Foreign Minister Ambassador Francois Zhizhong will light the 3rd candle. We light this candle to recognize the courage and humanity of the righteous among the nations, those who risked their lives to save Jews during the Holocaust. Among them, Dr. He Fengshan, a diplomat who helped thousands of Jews. Their moral courage and selflessness shine as a beacon of hope. 接下来，我们邀请到的是国家安全会议吴钊燮秘书长为我们点亮第4根蜡烛。Now, I would like to invite Secretary General Joseph Zhao Xie-wu of the National Security Council to light the 4th candle. We light this candle as a commitment to Holocaust education and the fight against ignorance and prejudice. We bear the responsibility to ensure that future generations understand the consequences of hatred and deepen our collective sense of humanity. 接下来，我们邀请立法院江启臣副院长点亮第5根蜡烛。Vice President Johnny C. CHANG of the Legislative Yuan will now light the 5th candle. We light this candle to honor the resilience and strength of Holocaust survivors. Their stories are a powerful reminder of the human spirit's capacity to overcome darkness and despair, and we bear the responsibility to carry their legacy to future generations, and may this light symbolize hope and renewal. 最后，我们恭请萧美琴副总统来点亮第6根蜡烛。Vice President Bi-khim Hsiao will light the 6th candle. We light this candle in remembrance of the 6 million Jewish lives lost during the Holocaust. May their memory be a beacon that guides us towards a world of compassion and understanding, ensuring such atrocities are never repeated. 现在我们进行合照。We will now take a group photo. 我们请看向前方中央的镜头。Please look toward the photographers right in front of you. 那接下来望向后方媒体区的镜头。Please look towards the cameras in the media area at the back. 接下来，我们请以色列议员代表上台合照。Now, I would like to invite M.K. Boaz Toporowski, member of the Knesset, to the stage for a second group photo. 请望向中央镜头。Please look toward our photographers right in front of you. 接下来，请贵宾望向后方媒体摄影机。Please look towards the cameras in the media area at the back. 谢谢，感谢台前各位贵宾，请各位贵宾先行回座。Thank you. Please return to your seats. 以色列、德国跟台湾的代表们为我们点亮了6根蜡烛，一方面纪念2战期间遭受屠杀的600万犹太人，另外一方面也向幸存者和受害者的家人致意。The 6 candles lit by representatives from Taiwan, Germany, and Israel not only honored the 6 million Jews who were murdered during World War II, but also pay respect to the survivors and the families of the Holocaust victims. 现在我们邀请立法院江启臣副院长致辞。Let us now welcome Mr. Johnny C. CHANG, Vice President of the Legislative Yuan, to deliver his remarks.
萧副总统、关会吴秘书长、以色列经济文化办事处尤玛雅处长、 德国在台协会迪加信处长，以色列国会议员杜博斯基、拉比谭硕米、外交部吴次长，还有台湾民主基金会的廖执行长，在场的各位贵宾，大家午安。今天本人怀着肃穆的心情，代表台湾民主基金会董事长暨立法院院长韩国瑜先生，出席本次国际犹太大屠杀纪念活动。80多年前，在第2次世界大战的欧洲战场上，人类历史上规模最大的种族灭绝——犹太大屠杀，夺走了600万犹太民族以及数百万，包括吉普赛人等其他群体的生命。这场浩劫改写了历史的进度，改写了历史的进程，更改变了无数个体的命运。而赫歇尔先生正是其中的一位。80年后的今天，我们齐聚在此，透过幸存者赫歇尔先生的证词影片、诵念祈祷文以及点烛仪式，共同来悼念在2战期间遭受迫害的所有受难群体，同时也借此提醒当代的我们，要有勇气面对沉重的历史记忆，并反思其中的人权课题。在赫歇尔先生的证词影片中，我们看见战争的残酷与极权的暴行，但同时我们也看见人性的光辉。在生死交关之际，父母忍痛将孩子托付给他人，只为了延续他们的生命。也有非犹太的家庭，即使承受着极度的风险，仍选择保护、抚养这些跟自己没有血缘关系的孩童。这样的选择展现了人性中最真挚的善念，也让我们深刻体悟到电影《辛德勒的名单》当中的一句话：拯救一个生命，就是拯救了整个世界。今天的活动除了告诉我们不要忘记过去，更提醒着我们，在任何宗教、国籍、种族之前，我们每一个人都是以一个人的身份而存在，而生命的延续是蕴含希望的。过往我也曾担任台湾民主基金会的董事，期间我深刻体认到基金会致力于推动人权、自由与民主等普世价值的信念。而今身为立法院的副院长，我更进一步体会到国会外交在传递此等精神上的关键角色，也见证了各国友人对台湾长期坚持推动相关价值的共鸣，期盼能借由国会的力量，将中华民国台湾对人权的坚持传达给国际社会，让更多人感受到每一个人都有活的权利，都应活得有希望。最后，让我们共同祈愿，反人道的悲剧不再重演，尊重人权的信念与对和平的信仰，能够更落实于我们的制度与日常之中，成为守护彼此的力量。谢谢大家。
谢谢副院长，请副院长回座。现在我们邀请德国在台协会迪加信处长致辞。Please welcome Mr. Carsten Tietz, Director General of the German Institute, Taipei.
Madam Vice President, Secretary General, dear Joseph, Deputy Speaker, dear Johnny, Deputy Minister, dear Francois, and especially our co-organizers, dear Maya and President Liao, distinguished guests. Never again. That was the resounding message after the Holocaust, after nearly 7 million innocent civilians, men, women, and children, were killed in concentration camps and gas chambers. Even if it was neither the first nor the last genocide in history, it stands out because for the first time, the methods of the Industrial Revolution were employed in killing people, killing factories instead of killing fields. That is why the Holocaust will always be unique. I was born 25 years after the end of World War II. My father was 4 years old at the end of the war. Even though I am not responsible or guilty, I feel the national shame. Every generation has to repay the debts of their forefathers. That is why we often have heated political debates whether we should solve current problems by accumulating debt that our children have to repay. The monetary debts from World War II have been repaid long ago, but the moral debt can never be repaid. In what currency can you repay the moral debt of the world's most devastating genocide? Our approach in Germany is our remembrance culture, our attempt to be good global citizens, and our unwavering support for the Jewish people and their right to live free from fear and aggression in Israel and the world. Today in Germany, the main source of anti-Semitism is imported anti-Semitism from the Middle East, staging anti-Jewish protests in our streets, and in some cases even comparing Israel's war in Gaza to the Holocaust. Let me be very clear. Fighting Hamas, armed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terrorism, that has invaded Israel and killed over 1,000 innocent Jewish men, women, and children on October 7th, 2024, and that has vowed to wipe out Israel, is not the same as killing 7 million innocent Jewish men, women, and children in gas chambers. It is not the same, even if, like any war, it has numbers of collateral civilian casualties. To honor the victims of the Holocaust, we should all refrain from using such Holocaust and other Nazi comparisons lightly. We should not call a political opponent a Nazi just to express our gut feeling that he has some very bad ideas. To all my friends from Taiwan, from all political parties, I would like to say I have not met any politician in Taiwan yet who deserves this label. Using it feels like a slap in the face to the victims of Nazi tyranny that we came to honor here today. But our never again in Germany has a second aspect, one that does not refer to the Nazi genocide, but to the Nazi war of aggression. After the unprecedented destruction of World War II, the whole world came together to enshrine the principle never again into the Charter of the United Nations. Never again should any country be allowed to change international borders by force. Never again should a war of aggression succeed. Never again should a people be denied their self-determination just because a bigger neighbor has an appetite for more land. 80 years after World War II, the people who can still remember the horrors and why we created the UN Charter have vanished from the face of the earth, just like the people who can still remember the Holocaust. And when we look around our world today, it seems like the lessons they learned from bitter experience and that they enshrined in the UN Charter are about to vanish as well. The most blatant violation of those lessons is Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. 4 years of torture, mass rape, mass abduction of Ukrainian children. What does it mean for the credibility of our never again and for the principles of the UN Charter if we do not support Ukraine in their heroic resistance? If we allow an imperialist aggression to succeed in changing borders by force? If we even bully Ukraine to surrender and accept to give up territory that they are bravely fighting for. Make no mistakes, ladies and gentlemen. If we do not stand with Ukraine today, we cannot say with any credibility that we will stand with anyone becoming a victim of aggression in the future. Standing with Ukraine sends the clear signal we do not allow aggressors to tear down the world order that secured peace for 80 years. We do not accept the change of borders by force. We do not turn our back on a democracy fighting to protect their freedom, their territory, and their people. If Russia wins this war of aggression, nobody is safe, not in Europe and not in Asia. The lessons from the Nazi crimes is democracies have to hold the line. It is because of the lessons from our history that Germany is today the biggest supporter of Ukraine. Never again is now. Let me close, ladies and gentlemen, with a famous quote from German resistance against the Nazi dictatorship. When they came for the communists, I didn't speak up because I was not a communist. When they came for the trade unions, I didn't speak up because I was not a unionist. When they came for the Jews, I didn't speak up because I was not a Jew. And when they came for me, there was nobody left who could speak up. So let us speak up together, as long as we're still many, for Israel, for Ukraine, and for Taiwan. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon, Director General Teets. 接下来，我们有请驻台北以色列经济文化办事处由玛雅代表致辞。Let us welcome Representative Maya Yaron of the Israel Economic and Cultural Office in Taipei.
Her Excellency, Vice President Xiao, Secretary General of National Security, Mr. Wu, Vice President of the Legislative Yuan, Mr. CHANG, Deputy Minister Wu, President of the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy, Ms. Liao, and Director General of the German Institute, Mr. Ties, of course, member of the Knesset, Mr. Bostoporovsky, distinguished ladies, thank you for being here. Mei was born this past September here in Taipei. She's probably the youngest member of this small Jewish community here. And I see her mother every day coming to work at the Israeli office. And like many young parents, she struggles every day with the moment of leaving her daughter, who's only 7 months old, at home. It is not a simple thing. It's an emotional. It pulls out your heart to leave a child, even when you know it's only for a few hours, and even if you know that this is in a safe home. And after hearing the testimony of Tzvi Herschel, I can't stop thinking about his mother. What did she had in mind when she let go of her 4 months old baby? I keep asking myself, how did she feel? Because she didn't do this because she wanted to. She thought she did it because somehow this was the only way for him to survive. Tzvi is only one story. Every year when I come here, I struggle with this because one story, one face, one name is something that we as human needs in order to care and to feel and to connect, but it's still only one. And when we come to the Holocaust, we have to remember the numbers, the very big numbers. In the Netherlands alone, more than 100,000 Jews were executed. Across Europe, 6 million Jews were murdered, and alongside them, millions more were perished. And those are only the people who lost their lives. What about the millions who survived, but carried the trauma all the rest of their lives, like my grandparents? Those people who lived, but were physically broken, were emotionally wounded, and they were mentally scarred. And the survivors that they had to go through after losing their parents, their families, their homes, their faith, the very basic sense of safety. Can we really understand the scale of the Nazi plan? a deliberate, systematic, vicious plan to murder an entire minority, millions of people, just because we are Jews. Knowing this plan, standing here today, my own existence feels like a miracle. I stand here today as an Israeli, as a Jewish woman, and everywhere around me, in my family history, the stories that I grew up with, I see them the shadow of what the Holocaust did to all of us, Israelis, Jews. And yet here I am, and I am alive. In Hebrew we say, Am Israel Chai. I am the third generation of Holocaust survivors. And on days like today, I really feel it very strongly. I feel that my existence has got to mean something. There is continuity. This is something that is an answer to all those who wanted to erase us all. Why do I feel this so deeply? Perhaps it's the way that I was raised, how we are taught about the Holocaust, because for us, Holocaust is just not numbers, dates, or figures in a history book. Zvi Herschel was sharing in his testimony that he was going to the school, the primary school of his grandson. This is how we learn. We learn the stories of our families, of our grandparents. We look on their experience. We hear what they went through, what was lost, and what was carried forward. And so we become a living memorial. We carry those stories with us so they are never forgotten. And because this lives inside of us, inside of me, there is one big major lesson that we carry from the Holocaust, and it is a very hard lesson. When people threaten to destroy us, we believe them. And we fight back, we fight strong, because we know that no one will come and fight for us. We believe those people because history taught us in the most cruel way that words matter, that hatred and discrimination must be taken seriously. That reminds us of these tragedies is that they are not happening suddenly. Everything begins with words that are being ignored. Israeli Jewish people do not have the luxury of dismissing threats as empty words. We know that those who openly call for our destruction may very well have exactly mean what they are saying. So we act, not because we love conflict or war, but because we learned that our survival requires strength, vigilance, and the willingness to defend ourselves. Therefore, carrying the living memory of the Holocaust makes us very sensitive to language. And when I hear people, including here in Taiwan, use words like Nazi, like dictatorship, too casually, too lightly, as if this is another comparison that they can use, my body reacts to this. Because for me, these are not abstract words. These are not political shortcuts to explain anything. They carry real suffering and pain. And when those words are being used carelessly, it hurts many Jews and Israelis because we know and we fear of what will come next. And I am very worried when I'm looking on the world today. There is a very fine line between words and violent acts. And in too many places, that line has already been crossed. Taiwan is a safe and peaceful place. The spirit of coexistence here is something I truly appreciate. It is probably the beautiful part I like most about it. But like every other democracy, Taiwan is not immune. Democracies are always challenged by forces that divide us, that polarize us, that try to weaken trust and mutual respect. The fact that during the last few years, including very recently, there were numerous uses of hate speech and hate symbols here in Taiwan, made also by top leaders, is a sign that must be noticed. This is why today's event is so important. It allows high leadership to send a clear message against the normalization of words and images that carry the history of dehumanization, of hate, and of violence. This message is important to all democracies. We must be very cautious because if we truly want to make the history never repeat itself again, the fight against hate speech and discrimination is one of the places to begin. So I would like to end with the message that we heard from Zvi Herschel, as I believe that all of us here want to live in a better world, not only for ourselves, but also for baby Mei and her future generations. It is our responsibility to do good, and we need to start doing good now. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Yaron, for joining us this afternoon. 接下来我们要恭请萧美琴副总统致辞。Please welcome Vice President B. Kim Xiao.
The Honorable Maya Yaron, representative of the Israeli Economic and Cultural Office in Taipei. The Honorable Karsten Tietz, Director General of the German Institute in Taipei. Thank you for your very powerful statements. Vice President Johnny Chang of the Legislative Yuan, Ambassador Francois Wu, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Secretary General Joseph Wu of the National Security Council, and President Liao of the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy. And also welcome to Boaz, a member of the Israeli Knesset. Distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I extend sincere appreciation to the Israeli Economic and Cultural Office in Taipei, the German Institute in Taipei, and the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy, as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, for co-hosting this meaningful event once again. Your efforts have been instrumental in ensuring that a significant chapter of history is not forgotten. We are gathered here today to honor the memory of the people who perished in the Holocaust. Stand in solidarity with the survivors and pay tribute to the courageous heroes who selflessly risked their lives to help. To all those who suffered through this catastrophe, we offer our heartfelt condolences and respect. The Holocaust left an indelible scar on the collective consciousness of humankind. In addition to over 6 million Jewish victims, millions of individuals comprising diverse ethnicities, nationalities, and ideologies suffered systemic persecution. This serves as a stark reminder that only by protecting democratic institutions and human rights can we keep the shadow of tyranny at bay. Taiwan's journey has been significantly shaped by a difficult period of authoritarian rule. And as we have reflected on the 228 incident and white terror, we understand the importance of defending freedom and critically examining our social foundations. In 2017, the Act on Promoting Transitional Justice facilitated the opening of political archives and removal of authoritarian symbols, and the reversal of convictions and restoration of rights to victims. Taiwan continues to actively implement transitional justice, paying solemn homage to the victims and safeguarding the historical truth, while also promoting good governance, and social responsibility. By commemorating sites of historical injustice and erecting memorials, we have transformed our past atrocities into public awareness opportunities. As a force for good in the world, Taiwan is determined to counter hatred and prejudice at home and abroad. We will continue to seek opportunities to work with international partners, whether through humanitarian aid, public education initiatives, or promoting dialogue on shared values. We will demonstrate our commitment to the spirit of human compassion. We believe that a resilient Taiwan and a free Taiwan can contribute more to global humanity. As the specter of authoritarian expansion looms over the international order, Taiwan's commitment to our shared values remains unshakable. Guided by lessons of history, Taiwan will steadily deepen cooperation with like-minded partners to ensure that atrocities of the past are not repeated. May we use kindness, reason, and empathy to bridge our differences, rebuilding a world that is more compassionate, peaceful, and hopeful for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Xiao, for gracing us with your presence. 谢谢肖副总统。现在我们要恭送副总统离场。Ladies and gentlemen, let us again thank Vice President Xiao for joining us today. 感谢各位贵宾莅临2026年国际犹太大屠杀纪念日活动。With that, we conclude the ceremony today. 我们今天齐聚一堂，不只是纪念犹太大屠杀的历史寓意，同时也期许应持续努力，为后代争取一个更具包容与自由的社会。We gather here today not only to remember the historical significance of the Holocaust, but also to reaffirm our commitment to building a more tolerant and free society for future generations. With that, we conclude the ceremony this afternoon. 今天的活动到此结束。再次的感谢各位来宾的莅临。离开时记得携带您的随身的物品。在此也代表主办单位祝福各位贵宾健康快乐、平安顺心。Once again, thank you for great.
大家好，我是主播周玉琴。很多的朋友告诉我们，选择原版的太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌，它添加有羽衣甘蓝，健康再加分。而有睡眠困扰的朋友们，赶快选择蓝色包装这一款晚安加强版，绝对是更有感。每日克菲尔，时刻美好 ，Good Feel Good， 请上快点购为健康下单，而且要记得输入推荐代码，有额外的折扣优惠。太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌基础版、晚安加强版，新包装改版，内容不变，抽取更方便。要吃就吃最好的。